It's amazing when you don't end a meeting after 20 minutes or after, say, 3 hours. You actually work at finishing and getting to an end point of a negotiation. You actually might get to the end point of a negotiation, where it seems like Major League Baseball is going after that marathon session that Jerry just mentioned, 16 and a half hours, and Scherzer was there all night. He's back already. This thing should get hammered out. They said there's a new deadline at 5 p.m. tonight, which is arbitrary.
Which
again,
is also floating.
Exactly.
Like the first one.
Arbitrary again, but you should be more optimistic than you were yesterday. I certainly am.
There's no doubt. And I was very optimistic yesterday. Now I'm complete. I think it's at the one. It's at the half-a-yard line here.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to jinx anything. I don't want to be that mush. But I think the two things that you really, the pre-or pool, there's a little distance there, a little separation there. But in terms of the CBT, all right, which really is the de facto salary cap. So the union wants to increase the threshold to 230. The owners want it closer to 220.
Yeah.
All right, we're $10 million apart.
Yeah,
that's going to be done.
What are we talking about?
Nothing.
Exactly.
That'll be done. And the minimum salary, which was a big thing, it's the lowest of the four major sports. Last year it was $575,000 per player. The union wants to push that slightly north of $700,000. And Major League Baseball's latest offer last night was at $675,000. We're talking peanuts, and we're talking that this thing will be done hopefully by tonight. And then a free agent frenzy starts. The Yankees will be in the middle of it. I think Stevie Cohen will be, maybe less in the middle because they've already done some stuff. But here's the one warning shot, the one flare that I would send up for baseball. While I remain probably even further emboldened that this thing's going to work out favorably, they are at a dangerous place in this regard. So we put a poll out yesterday. Roughly 33% of you thought we'd play about 120 games. So there was a large swath of people that were latching onto the pessimistic point of view, which, by the way, I get because it's baseball.
Yeah, it's hard not to.
I get that. No doubt. And, yeah, for sure. So now, as I would think most of those 33% begin to swing, you wake up, maybe you went to the bathroom in the middle of the night, you popped on your phone, hey, what's going on? You check the tweets, progress, they're still talking. So everybody's feeling happy, everybody's feeling good today. Emotionally, they've got us in a place where we will come out like caged animals if this thing goes sideways.
Yeah.
Because now even the dissenters that were really, really, reluctant to think that this thing would gain some traction, they're now coming around. If they have to go back to their previous set of emotions, it's going to be ugly. But I don't think it gets there. I think we're in good shape.
Honestly, I think a lot of fans are even if they were ever emotionally heightened at this point, they're exhausted from talking about it and speculating about it. It just feels it's close to the end now, so they don't have to worry about it. So we almost need to start talking about, all right, what comes next, right? What are our teams going to do respectively in free agency and how much more money are we going to spend? And, after what we heard from Sweeney Murdy yesterday, which was astute, you didn't even think about it really, but this is why the Yankees were holding back pre the lockout from any of these signings like we saw with Stevie Cohen. Is because they want to see what the CBT is.
Yeah.
They want to see how high they can actually go before they're actually giving money to other clubs.
Not to mention what they'll lose internationally,
right.
what they'll lose in terms of draft compensation.
That's right. And
there's things to factor.
And how will the international draft change?
Yes.
Or will there actually be a draft?
Yep.
And if the Baltimore Orioles are getting taxed revenue, are they spending it or just sticking it in their pocket? Like, those are little things that matter. But I think the Yankees were, looking at it in retrospect, were smart to not just go recklessly spending to compete with the big boys in Major League Baseball.
Well, provided that they bounce back and they have a nice couple of days when this thing is lifted. Yes, then I would co-sign that statement. If they get shut out, I'm not so sure I'm going to want to hear it, nor do I think other Yankee fans will. But I understand that maybe to move forward with prudence, set your financial parameters, and still, once things are established, have the wherewithal and the means to go out and get what you got to get to patch up some very obvious holes on the Yankees. I hate to keep picking on it because they do good work, but I mentioned yesterday I'm coming in. I flip on Boomer and Gio, go through the normal morning routine, and Greg was out, so Recco was in, and get my little music taste, wake up, have a little coffee, pop on MLB radio, right? I've got to sit through and I didn't sit long, I changed the channel, through the Twins Mount Rushmore.
Yes.
Now, today, after meeting until 2:36 in the morning down in Florida, I'm thinking, all right, MLB radio's got to be the place for the quick encapsulation at the bare minimum. Tell me where we are, what's going down, illuminate everything that needs it. What are they doing today? The Guardians and the White Sox, Mount Rushmore. What the hell is going on with programming? Now, our former boss, Eric Spitz, is over at Sirius.
Did you send him a note?
I didn't, because I've been pretty busy this morning, crunching numbers and doing some stuff. But I don't even know if
I'm going to send him a note.
Send him a note. I'm not even sure if Spitzy's programming this, and I say this with a smile, but they got to get their act together over there. Talking about the Guardians, about Bob Feller. In 2022.
Was it Bob Feller?
I didn't stay with it long enough
gotcha.
to even tell you. I mean, Larry Doby. I heard, Mandy Ramirez. I heard a Grady Sizemore promo. I'm like, I got to go. And listen, can you imagine, T? Just think about this. If there was this protracted lockout in the NFL or the NBA, can you imagine on NFL radio the Mount Rushmore of the Giants or the Jaguars?
Nobody would
or
care.
the NBA? No,
Nobody
you got to
would
get there to talk business. What are they doing?
I mean,
what are they? I like those guys. What are they doing?
MLB Advanced Media controls all of that stuff. I'm sure the programming that goes out on the MLB channels. They probably they want it. They don't want it. It's the
they
owner.
don't want to be current. Who is sticking with that?
Nobody's sticking to it. Nobody's sticking to it.
Because
if you're listening to baseball news right now, the only thing you're listening for is what's happening.
Give me resolution.
That's exactly right. I mean, we're over here watching MLB Network, the actual network, and they are talking about it.
Phenomenal
Not the
job.
Radio. They're doing a great job. Harold Reynolds is just he's fantastic.
Yep, love him.
He was talking about how they need to speed up the game, and the World Series. Who was that? It was
the 83 World
83.
Series, Phillies and the Orioles.
And he was going through not Ken Griffey, Cal Ripken Jr. Against Charlie Hoffman. Charlie Hudson.
Yep.
And how they got through an entire 6-pitch at bat in like 2.5 minutes.
The 6-pitch at bat, it was really revealing. And we kind of know this stuff, but to see it out there on the screen, the 6-pitch at bat that they had with Ripken and Hudson is equivalent to a basically one pitch today.
Yeah.
Let that marinate. So we saw that together. Then I got, curiosity got the better of me, and I'm like, let me do a little digging. So I went back to the first couple of games of the 83 World Series that they took that at bat from. Game 1 was 2 hours and 22 minutes. Game
of the World Series.
This is the World Series. Wow. Game 2 was 2 hours and 27 minutes, and Game 3, laborious affair, 2 hours and 37 minutes. Right. So then I said, I remember the clincher for the Braves this year was pretty lengthy. Game 5, It was 4 hours. I looked it up, and listen, more offense, more reasons.
If some of that commercial, like more commercials.
I didn't probe deeply into the commercials.
That's an enormous difference, BT.
But I don't think the commercials have changed that much, because think about this. Back in the day, like, I don't know, if it was the Cosby Show or whatever we'd watch when we were kids, right?
A Different World?
Oh, yeah, I liked The Different World. I did like The Different World. I liked The Different World, And we've talked about that before. Yes, we did like that. And I feel like those 30-minute sitcoms, you go back to The Jeffersons, you go back to 90210, which was an hour, but I feel like every 30-minute show back then was 22 minutes of actual content.
Yes.
8 minutes of commercials.
That's a good point.
I don't think that that's ever really changed. I don't know if it's changed specific to games over the years, but man,
no, that sounds
the
about
contrast was stark.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But it also speaks to something that baseball needs to address outside of what they're talking about with the CBA conversations. That baseball's got to get more entertaining, right? It's got to get faster paced, so you're not just sitting and not watching anything for a lot of the time. There's not a tons of balls hit and play. The changes in the pitching, the bullpen use of all that stuff. It slows and bogs down games, and that's what Harold Reynolds was hitting on. Is that you don't need to go slow. I mean, Charlie Hudson was. He was talking through it, which made it really cool. He's like, Charlie Hudson's thing. He's got a 1-1 count right now. Like, he didn't hit that pitch, so I missed on this one. All right, what am I going to do? And he does this in immediately, 3 seconds.
Yeah. Well, about 9 or 10 pitches. Like, so he would throw.
He's determining what he's throwing next in 3 seconds, and he's up to the bat. He's rubbing the ball. He gets back on the mound.
Because you're not waiting on analytics where there's some transfer of information from the dugout to the catcher. Let me look, the hot zone, the cold zone. This is what he hits on a 1-2 count.
It's become paralyzing. it's become paralyzing in a sense.
Oh, for sure.
It's slowed it down for those that have to execute in the moment, pitcher and batter.
I'm pumped, though. I am pumped. I am pumped. Hoffman, it looks like you're going to be wrong.
Oh, very much. And I'm fine with that. I'm okay with being very wrong in this scenario.
Yes.
I need baseball. I need the 162. I need the purity of the sport.
I need the 162 as well. Now, if we want to revisit this, they're also talking about some items that, to your point, aesthetically could change the way the game looks. Shift, restrictions, and other items, pitch clock, etc. They're hitting everything here. They're hitting everything, and this is going to be potentially a glorious day.
Yeah.
I mean, really, without overstating, with so many more important things going on in the world than just flip on the news, and we know what that is, obviously, with Ukraine and Russia, not to mention a multitude of other things. This is small potatoes, but we're a sports station. I mean, This is what we fixate on. So I think this is the kind of day where even the most pessimistic or off-put baseball fan over the years, I think, and I think strongly, and I certainly hope, that by 5 Eastern, bang, this thing gets punctuated, punched in, we're feeling good, and then the next 3-4 days here on the Fan, we are talking about what the Yankees and the Mets are doing to augment their rosters to chase a championship.
Yeah.
And that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think
that's what's going to happen.
I think you're right, and we're getting close to it again. We heard this already. Then there's a new deadline. It's 5 p.m. I don't know if they'll get it actually done today, but it doesn't even matter because the deadline is arbitrary. Spring training is going to happen at some point, even if it's shortened to 3 weeks, and baseball should start on time by the end of this month, and that's really all that anybody cares about. Spring training is interesting because some of the farm systems of especially these teams, in particular the Yankees. But people want to see that. Like you've been talking about some of these young players for a long time. It's going to also influence what these teams, the Yankees in particular, again, are going to do in free agency and how much money they're willing to spend if XYZ player is ready or not. So once you start talking about that, it feels like baseball is in a microwaved hot stove, but at least it's there.
Play ball.
Exactly.
Here we go. 877-337-6666. It's funny, as much as I'm kind of messing around with the programming on MLB radio with the Guardians. You got to get used to that now. And the White Sox Mount Rushmore. I was thinking about this for a moment before I flipped the channel pretty quick. I'm like, well, the Yankees is pretty easy. You know that Ruth is there and Gehrig's there and DiMaggio's there. Do you want to put a skipper? Do you want to go Huggins? Do you want to go Torrey? Do you want to go modern? Do you want to get a Mariano up there or Jeter for some or Yogi? At least there's a mantle, obviously.
Have they done the Yankees? They have.
I haven't. I haven't heard it.
No, they're just waiting until they were waiting for it to get really bad
for a really dry day.
No. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. For a really dry day in terms of things not happening positively, where they could, because there's like 30 Yankees that would like give you 2 hours of content.
Exactly. So
that's what I'm saying.
If Major League Baseball and the MLBPA, the union, couldn't come to some resolution, let's say by Thursday, then on MLB.
Radio,
XM radio. That's when you got to go. All right, we got to pull out the big boys.
Got to get the Yankees.
Let's get the Yankees.
Here's the ace card.
White Sox, yeah,
Twins, Big Hurt,
maybe,
throw a few to Twins.
Let's do the Yankees.
Carew.
Yeah, it's getting really bad out there, media wise. Social media is crushing us right now. Let's throw the Yankees out there on XM radio.
Yeah, get the Wolves back at bay. But I was thinking about the Mets for a second. I'm like, the Mets Mount, and I don't even really want to get into this now, but I'm just kind of talking out loud. The Mets Mount Rushmore is not easy, and well, I think let me measure this before I say, because I was about to say it's actually not that impressive.
It is impressive.
Hold on a second.
It's top heavy. That's the problem.
Well,
right?
Seaver's one of the greatest right-handed pitchers of all time. Seaver, boom, number one.
Well, the question is, do you put Good in there, right? Do you put, you know what I mean? Because it's less about his career resume.
I mean, really, Koosman had a better year, if you think, a better career than Gooden.
I know that.
Gooden was top heavy.
But when you're talking about Mount Rushmore, it's I guess it
we got to put DeGrom. I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like, do you go with David Wright, whose career was cut short? You can't go Darryl. I mean, do you go Hernandez, who came here after 10 years with a different? That's what I'm saying. It's question. Not unimpressive. That's why I say that with a smile.
It's a good thing you paused on. Well,
yeah, that. It's not. There's a lot of. There's a little small print with the Mets Mount Rushmore. A little minutia that you have to dig into. All right, 877-337-6666. But positivity is the tone of the day. We're almost there. But then here comes Danny Downer in Garden City, and he says baseball is not doing it right. Dan, you're on the Fan. What's happening, Dan?
Good morning, guys. How are you today?
Daniel, son, what's up?
We are good, man.
Well, you know what? I'd like to listen. I'm an old timer. I'm in my 60s, but I'm not old. But I still have a lot of things that I work on.
Yep.
Okay.
If I was working on the executive committee of baseball, I would make a priority list of things that we need to fix. And I don't think that their priority list is the same as mine.
I want to hear yours, Dan. Hit us. Go ahead.
Number one, we
Okay.
need to get kids back into the ballpark
Agreed.
to watch the games. It probably means we need more daytime baseball, including for the playoffs and World Series. I mean, who could bring their kid to a playoff game anymore?
Nobody. Not happening.
Strictly an
You're right.
adult.
You're
Yeah.
right, but it's not happening because the TV networks won't let it. You're right, but it won't happen. What else?
Well, see, now let's tie this all in together with the revenues, because what I'm going to suggest is things that is not going. It's going to reduce revenue for the owners.
Definitely
what?
not happening.
That's
I
not
don't-
happening.
But go ahead.
I know, but let's just look at this from a big picture point of view. The salaries have gotten really crazy. I mean, what kind of person is worth really $35 million a year for what they do?
The person who has a company to pay them $35 million a year for what they do. That's the answer.
Yeah.
Dan. I know you don't like it, and I'm with you.
Yeah.
But that's the answer.
Yeah, that's one that you're not going to fix. And
You're
you're
never
seeing
gonna
that.
win
You're
that.
seeing that in all forms of on television entertainment. We were talking about Troy Aikman the other day. He's making $18 million
He's not worth $18 million.
to call
We're going to
seven-
watch the game anyway.
to call
But
17
the
or
new
18 or 19 games.
Yeah, but he's going to get
The
$18
new
million.
The new collective bargaining agreement that we hope to hear about later today.
Yep.
What I'd really like to hear is that there are budgets assigned to each club that's X amount of your revenue must be part of your salary structure. So there's no more of the Florida Marlins deciding not to buy or pay anybody.
Yeah.
You can't do that. X percentage of your revenue needs to go to
Reinvestment in the organization.
It's
Pardon me, the
exactly.
Yeah,
organization.
not dissimilar to the competitive balance tax.
Correct.
Like the revenue that the teams get from other teams going over the de facto cap has to be spent back into the club.
Yeah,
I
listen,
can understand
So
that.
can I, T. Dan, thanks for the call. They were a little bit up against it. Otherwise, I would have given you a chance to go through more. But, I mean, your first one, it hits me right in the heart, and I smile when I hear it.
Yeah.
And I wish it would actually come to fruition and that they would embrace this. They never will. I would love to see more kids in the yard. I would love to see more playoff games during the day. Not happening.
No.
It's just not happening. It sucks, but it's not. Fundamentally, I'm totally with you. 877-337-6666.